Welcome again to the Mexican Mail, where we'll be looking at Moonee Valley this week. We've got the Fiend Stakes, I think it's the big race down there. Joining me again is El Shano. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And the man of the moment, the $6 million man, TB. How are you?
Wish it was $6 million. I'm good, thanks, Monty. Shano, how are we all?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
Good, thank you.
Right, so we've got Moonee Valley, as mentioned there, looking like an interesting track where it's good at the moment, but it could possibly turn to soft to heavy with some forecast tomorrow. I'm sort of saying it's still going to be an advantage maybe to be on pace. I think in the earlier races, the rail might be a bit of an advantage, well, because the ground will be new or will be more fresh from the last meeting I've had. But throughout the day, anything could happen, and it could just get heavier. We'll see what happens there. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, I mean, we've got 20 to 35 scheduled tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing I didn't realise until you pointed out to me before, Milesy, but only 2 to 4 on the day now, so we might avoid that awful rain on the day, which can just cause absolute havoc at the track.
Yeah.
I mean, the latest meetings on wet tracks there was Cox Plate Day, and All-Star Mile Day, and then there was a really heavy track when the meeting got called off last spring as well, and all
that was about this time last year, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was. I think it was the 22nd of August. I think I looked up this morning. All those tracks did favour the on pace horses. Well, that day a year ago, if you didn't whoever led was guaranteed to win. They were falling in by 8 lengths, but that was rain on the day as well. The All-Star Mile Day, it sort of rained I think it started on a good track and then rained during the day. And then those races favoured anything on the rail or on speed, over the shorter sort of distance races.
I wouldn't be looking at that. I agree there with that All-Star Mile, but I know they got the ratings wrong as well, because at one stage, before that All-Star Mile, they were still saying the track was good to soft 5 or something. So it was clearly heavy. Yeah, so that's the unknown. But we're just going to have to bat on and think what could possibly happen and just go forward. All right, so as usual, we're going to do the quaddie legs. So we'll start off with race 6, and I'll just bring up the speed map, which have been supplied by TB. And let's have a look here. All right. So we'll start off with you, El Shano. What are your thoughts here on this race?
I've sort of, that's race 9 you've got up there, mate.
Sorry. Hang on. Anyway, just keep going. I'll bring it up. Hold on.
Yeah, so I've sort of fallen into the trap here of Argentia. I think it's got a bit of star factor. It was a dominant debut, and then they put it away, which is something that I like to see. It's got barrier 2. It could be a bit of a sticky draw, but watching it trial, I sort of thought maybe it might have some tactical ability. It might be able to sort of kick up a bit more on speed. It's a really well-related horse, obviously. Size Frankel. Its mother actually won a lot of races in New Zealand and come across and ran in the Cox Plate. I just think, it's got a lot of ticks, and it's really the one that I went looking for. And
all right, sorry about that. We just had a bit of a break. Shane, keep going, mate.
There's 2 horses I'm sort of keen to follow down the track. That was number 4, Mac and Cheese. I think it might just need a bit more distance and a bigger track. And 9, Literary Magnate, which seems to be trialling fairly well to you know, come out first up and run a good race, but I still want to be with that a bit later on. My other bet in the race was something at odds, number 1, Biscayne Bay. I just think it's got a pretty nice turn of foot. And if it's a wet track, I think being by Sebring, I think it could have something to offer.
Sure. Yeah, good one. Thanks for that. TB?
Yeah, well, if I'm imagining how the track might play, I think it's Scorched Earth's race to lose. It looks the likely leader from the barrier. The boys will be happy in the chat room with Luke Curry off for D Lane on, which is obviously a massive change. You know, that gimme par, Heresy's got pretty close to Artorias the other day out of that race. Yeah, I mean, we're a winner at the track as well with Scorched Earth, so I feel like it's got a massive advantage from the map. The other one I wanted to mention was La Roque. So if there is that pattern where, you know, you've got to be making that run in the rails, this horse did show speed in its first 2 career starts, and obviously got a long way back at the Valley, drew wide first up. The Jamie Mott goes onto the horse. He rode the stablemate in the first up run, so it felt like a bit of a barrier trial sort of set up, and it hit the line really well, and it can just sort of get that nice sort of suck in behind Scorched there. So I thought, whilst I don't really like that Zapateo form line much, I'm treating that like a barrier trial for La Roque. The other one I just wanted to give mention to was Commands the Field. It jumped out sensationally on a heavy track at on its home Cranbourne over the 800 metres leading up to its first up run. It was drawn, it sort of over raced over that 1,000 metre race. It actually rated okay, the race, and it was in the worst part of the track and did get going late. I think the horse has some serious ability, but I think the key to it might be sort of like a tighter turning track like at Cranbourne. And coupled with the fact that it's going to get onto the wet, which you know it looks like it could enjoy. I think it might, you know, run a bit of a race at big odds for us. So they're probably the 3 I'm looking to at the moment. You know, I'm not against anyone that wants to back Argentina or whatever it is. You know, it's got all the signs that it's a good horse, and it could also find the fence. It's just a bit too short for me at the current prices.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I agree. I think Scorched Earth looks to be the bet in the sense that it's a go forward horse. You know, it should get the soft lead too. I don't think they'll go too crazy here. And look, if you have a look through its career, it's running some pretty good races, which is always a good sign coming to a race like this. And it has fitness on its side as well, which I think it's definitely going to help when it comes, especially this time of the day where we think the track could be a little bit chopped up. The other ones I went looking for was, Argentina. I think it's just looks like a serious racehorse to me. Probably it's going to be more a 1,000 guinea horse, I feel. But its debut was super. It's a big, strong, raw thing. It should handle the going by Frankel, but I suppose it's hit and miss. Obviously, the negative, it's first up, but well, you know, it's coming off a bit of a break. But yeah, I think it's a serious horse, and I suppose I don't really want to lose if it does win. But yeah, look, from that gate where it's going to end up, it could get a bit tricky there. That's the old coffin, as JJ would say. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But look, the other one was Zuzarello. I thought it was huge on debut. Comes back to the scene of the crime. It probably is going to get back, which is a negative, as we can see there on the map. And it's obviously unknown in the wet. But I just like the style of its win, and looks like a nice style of a horse. So they're the 3 I'd be looking at. But yeah, I'm probably more leaning towards Scorched Earth than the other 2, but we'll see what happens on the day. All right, so moving on to race 7, and we'll get TB to start on this, mate? What do you think?
Well, there looks really good speed in this race. And number 2 Wild Planet just looks the A pick here, and it's $8.50. I mean, again, like, it's never going to be a bet for me right now until I see the way the track's playing. But if you can run on this time of day, first up, last prep, it ran second to Eduardo. I mean, that race would that run would win this race. There's a lot of horses here that aren't going well. They're not running times. The map bet I thought might be Bella Nipotina. I think it's obviously a bit too short at the moment. Its last start win probably won't read that well on paper, but that they went way too slow, and it sort of ran okay time coming home. Josh Richards off, Craig Williams on, barrier 1. He's a jockey that you'll want to find at Moonee Valley. We saw what he was able to do a couple of Saturdays ago, putting his horses in the right spot. So it could be drawn perfectly, just again depending on what the track does. And the other one that I was giving a bit of a chance to was Dalasan, number 1. There's no public jump outs or trials, so sort of going off first up figures in the past, which read well. It gets through wet ground, class horse in the race, and it might, barrier 2 might be a good spot. You can see that out wide, you've got Ancestry, Pintoff, Front Page, Deep Speed, Great Again, Acer. They're all horses that want to, get forward. So they could set it up for something just to sort of outstay them if it becomes a bit more of a slug. So I'd just, I wouldn't, I mean, it's not an unload job, but it could be something to throw something on. And the other horse I just can't get rid of is number 17, Express Pass. I'm still a bit unsure as to why I like it, but it had a nice little freshen up jump out. I think I mentioned last time it needed a bit of a freshen up. It was starting to look a bit stale in the yard, so I'll be interested to see how it's come back. Big fan of the Nick Lyon stable, and the horses placed at the track before. So
just with Dalasan, so where it's going to get to there, what you're saying, that's not really a good spot, surely.
Not typically, but if it's playing rails in run and there's mad speed and something just falls in at the end, it might be the horse. Like, I've just got so many of these horses running poor figures and coming out of Pox races. So they were the only 4 I could really consider as a betting proposition. But obviously depending on what the track does on the day will determine my final position.
Fair enough. All right, thanks for that. Look, Elshana, what are your thoughts?
I had a couple of looks at this race because I found it quite hard. The one that I found, which would be my primary bet if it gets a run, would be 18 Calcani Royale. It's 4th emergency though, so I don't know. With the weather, maybe we might get a few scratchings. Who knows? But
it's on the cards,
if it gets a run, I'll be interested. But if that doesn't get a run, I think you just fall back on number 2 Wild Planet. I think it's probably the best horse in the race here. That you'd have to hope that the run up in Queensland, I think it might have had 2 runs up there. That hopefully that's brought it on. And it's just a classy horse. But I'm really expecting anything to win this. Riddle me that. I've got a bit of time for. Away game I was interested in, but maybe the gate kills its chances. But I probably can't throw that out. I'll probably still have to have something on it. And I Am Someone was probably the roughest one that I had a half look at. But it's a hard race.
Would you take $5 about away game?
No, I'd want more than that.
Yeah, I think you'd get a lot more on the day.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it's a head fuck of a race, really. You're right, Shane. Something could win here, and you go, I'm not surprised so much. I sort of didn't spend too much time on it because I just thought, there's just too many variables, too many things to worry about with this. There's definitely going to be pretty good genuine speed, as we can see there. So it could set it up for something sitting in behind. And I like how you've said Calcani Royal there. It's probably going to be in the box seat. Look, I sort of went looking for a away game just because I think now with it second up, it's got the fitness. I probably wouldn't want it that far back. I'd hope to think it'd be slot in a bit more midfield. Look, if it becomes a bit of a bog as we might be expecting, well, it's got form on that. So, and it's usually runs pretty consistent, has run consistent all its life. But yeah, it's nothing I'm going to really launch into. Look, the other one was Pintoff. Tricky gate's got to come across, work a little bit, but it's absolutely airborne. And what I've gone looking for are horses that are fit and I'm going to be on pace. And it sort of doesn't mind the wet either. So it ticks a lot of boxes there for me. What else do we have here? Look, and the other one I went a bit wider was Order of Command. Hasn't been running well. TB, you've mentioned that it hasn't been parading well either, but it thinks it gets a bit of a chance here just because of the conditions that probably could unfold. And sitting in behind that speed, it might just relish that and come off them and could come round them. But yeah, look, it's a tough race. It's not a race that I wanted to sink my teeth into too much as far as, having a decent bet. But yeah, look, many chances. All right, we move on to the big race, the main race of the day. I'll just get rid of that map. Sorry, having a few map issues. So we'll start with El Shano. What are your thoughts here, mate?
So yeah, race 8. This is another pretty hard one. I thought Elephant was something to look at. It won well last time, but I'm still not sure if it's quite up to these. That was the question in my mind. The ones that I found were 7 non-conformist. I think it had a bit of a barrier trial last time. I'm not sure whether it was by accident or just the way it panned out. But I think it's got form in its past where it's won on sort of sticky tracks over a mile. I have to give it a chance based on its last run. The other one I liked was Shot of Irish. I really liked its last run, the way it looked beaten and then it was coming back on the line. I think with a better ride here, I think it's a big chance. It's a little bit like Pancho the other week. I think just a little bit of a better ride this time. I think it's
well done
going to
on
be
that,
with a big chance.
I gave it none, and you gave it a good push. Well done. Okay.
The one at odds potentially, if they are able to run on, is the Chosen One. I can't throw that out either. So, for me, non-conformist mainly, Shot of Irish, and potentially the Chosen One.
TB?
Yeah, I was only really interested in 3 horses as a betting proposition here. I mean, number 1 is Elephant. It's time that it posted first up, ran exactly the same time as Sierra Sue on the day, but very good for its class. It was a real negative parade. It was tense. It's not what I'd like to see at all, and it just killed them easily. So that race actually rated quite well. I think it can go the next step. The big query is just how it handles the wet. It's sort of hard for me to. I can't really remember what sort of type it was. Obviously, it's a bit weird. We've got a New Zealand horse 5 starts without a run on any wet ground yet. But
Unbelievable.
Yeah, like I just want to have another look at it in the yard and imagine it on the track. Well, for a potential heavy track. So when I'm looking at them on good tracks, I don't really think about it too much unless they really do stand out as a wetty. So I obviously didn't have that thought. So
I think it's a pretty light horse. I think it was a pretty light horse. Like, it's not a big bulky thing. Not like it's
quite an athletic type. From memory. The other 2, I'm just going to mention Sovereign Award. Like, obviously went breakneck speed first up the other day and fell in a hole. Did pull up with a slow recovery. It's the likely leader. I don't think they'll go that stupid out in front again. But yeah, as I said, it could be one definitely just to chuck in your quaddies because it could be the leader in the race. And I'm with Shane too, Shot of Irish. I don't know what the stable are doing booking Talia Hope again. Like the horse is going up to, it's got 59 kilos in this race, and they've put Talia Hope on again, who absolutely fucking butchered it. Excuse my French. Butchered it for everyone that backed it last week. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a chance Sovereign Award will hand up. It doesn't always have to lead, and she might get away with a simple ride out in front. But I still think the horse is good enough in these conditions to run a big race, and all its forms sort of lining up and coming out of the better run races. So they're the three for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I can understand Shot of Irish there. Sovereign Award, look, it probably is going to get its chance on the ground and all of that. We're looking at probably Streets of Avalon probably likely being scratched as well. So those two might get it easy up front. And look, yeah, it's funny. I thought Elephant could have been a close to a moral in this race. And then when I looked at, because I was thinking, oh, you're a New Zealand horse, surely you can go on the wet. And then you look at its form and stats, and it's never even run a race in the wet. It's absolutely, it must be the only horse over there, surely. But I still think it's a good winning chance, because it will sit in behind the speed there with those two up front, and it will be in the right spot. It's got that fitness about it now. I'd probably suggest it will improve off the run. I even thought the trainer, they usually do say it after the race, that he had improvement in him, but I just think for probably what they're looking at going forward, it will improve. And look, it's going to be mighty tough to beat in this race, I feel. Look, and the other one I sort of looked at was this French horse, Port Guillaume, or however you say it. Now, it probably could be the best horse in the race due to the fact of what it's run against, in the sense that it's been running against much superior horses and been in superior races than this. Obviously, the negatives might be the fact that it's first up, the distance. It's never really traveled over, I think, less than 2,000 meters when it was in France. But it's got a good first up record, and all its wins are on soft going. And at the price, I think you're getting around about $21. I can definitely find myself having something on it, especially like by 1x3, because if it becomes a slog and the track becomes a bog, this could turn more into even closer to a 2,000 meter race, and it's going to be the last one probably standing. I did see its jump out, and it looked like it ran on nicely in its jump out as well. So I'm very wary of it, just because I know what the others will do, and I know what the others are. Like Elephant's still probably something that we still haven't got a handle on. But I think Elephant will improve. This Port Guillaume could definitely jump out of the ground. And as I say, I know it's running better races than this, but obviously the query, as I've said, is the first up factor in the distance. And outside of that, look, I eliminated pretty much most of them in this race. Like I sort of black book Superstorm from its last run, but you can't really have it on these conditions. And Room of Flowers was another one I sort of thought was going to be in for a good prep, but again, first up, and maybe not in these conditions. And look, it's probably got bigger fish to fry, but I think it's a pretty weak Group 2 for mine. And I don't think there's that many chances. But I'll be definitely playing heavily on Elephant, and I'll be having something at 1x3 on this Port Guillaume. Rightio. We move on to the last. I'll just get rid of this. Sorry, guys, I'm having a bit of map issues trying to get them up. But we'll start with you, TB, on this one. What are your thoughts? Race 9, the lucky last.
Yeah, 3 horses I'm interested in. Skyman, which I found from the parade first up in the Shot of Irish race. It just walked enormous. That was a brutally run race to cop first up, and I'm still a bit unsure how it didn't win as well. But yeah, a run that it can platform off for sure. it's got the figures behind it, and the wet seems okay. But again, it is map negative here. Like it's gonna get back, and there's not an abundance of speed. We've got, I think we're due Tory Joy, which will go forward, and Viral.
Delayed
Viral's not
entry.
Viral's not a natural leader, so it's not a huge amount of speed, but yeah, if you can run on, Skyman looks sort of the main bet for me. The other two I wanted to mention was first one, Wicklow Town. That was a big win, 3 wide at Sandown on a Wednesday the other day. The figure was good from the race. It drops 7.5 kilos, so you get the apprentice. The horse is actually racing well going forward. Big query over the mile, but I thought it might be able to do something. So it's definitely a bit of a wetty, Wicklow Town. Been parading really well. And number 12, Don't Doubt Dory. So no one normally expects me to tip anything with Carleen Heffel on it, but she does get the horse down to 51 kgs. It's 2 from 2 in the heavy. It's 2 from 3 first up. Never missed a place first up. Jumped out really well over 1,200 meters. It's just ticks every box for the horse. So she can put this horse a bit in the race, 2 from 7. It's got a little bit of tactical speed. So yeah, I thought it with the lightweight might be able to do something, but they're not giving much weight away to Skyman, which is sort of brings me back to Skyman every time. But yeah, they were the 3 that interested me most.
How did Skyman parade? Can you remember last up?
Yeah, really well. Walked
well.
enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, Elshana, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm left with 3 horses as well. Skyman, I think I'll be saving on. I think Viral just it was just a bit too tough for it last start. I think it had the drop on it and it had its opportunity to beat it. Viral's an interesting horse because they've never actually raced it above 1,400 before last time. And I think they raced it at 1,500 and it won. So it's had something like 30 starts, never went above 1,400. So I found that interesting. And this time they're going up to the mile. Yeah. It's probably a little bit of a worry, the wet for Viral. So I'll probably watch betting. But yeah, I was thinking maybe Viral would be my main bet and Skyman would be my saver. And as Thomas mentioned, 12, Don't Doubt Dory. I'm pretty keen on that as well. That'll be another bet for me. It just looks primed to have a race. They've been trialing it up, getting it to trial really positively. It's got the good fresh record. It's got the good heavy record. Carleen's just going to be, sitting there about 4 lanes wide and coming into the race. And if the horse is good enough, it may win.
Rightio. Well, it doesn't look like we should doubt Dory then, by the sounds of that. Okay, well, what I went looking for, I think, High Stranger, I've been on it the last 2 starts, is absolutely flying. The conditions for it will be okay, I think. Likes the Valley. It's got a bit of form around a winner last week in No Effort. So there's a lot to like about it. I don't like where it's positioned there. If that's going to happen, it's definitely in the coffin. So that won't work for it. Skyman, I agree on. And, it's been awesome since it's come over here. It's hardly ever run a bad race. It probably will be back. And maybe hopefully by this stage, they could be running on. It's a horse that can probably get over further as well. So if it becomes a bit of a slog, it'll definitely be punching on, that's for sure. And the other ones I went looking, I do agree with Wicklow Town there, just purely because of the fact that it just loves the wet. It might be back a little bit, but, it was impressive last start. And the other one was Tory Joy, just because of the fact that it's got the fitness and will go forward, doesn't mind the conditions. Look, it hasn't been in form and hasn't been running well in Sydney, but maybe the change of scenery might help it out. But yeah, I don't know at this present moment where I'd be going, look, I definitely might probably have something on Skyman, and possibly, like, looking at that map, I'd rather back Wicklow Town than hire Stranger. That's for sure. But yeah, I suppose I'll know more. We'll definitely know more at this time of the day. So yeah, all right. Well, look, we've done the quaddie. I'll just get rid of that. And we've got in our first leg, which we thought was Scorched Earth, La Roque, Argentina, Biscayne Bay. Second leg, Wild Planet. What did we say there? Calcani, away game. Bella Nipotina. And we got rid of Delton. Yep. And the third leg was Elephant, Shot of Irish, Port Gourmet, Nonconformist, Sovereign Award. And the last leg, Skyman, Wicklow Town, Don't Doubt Dory, and Viral. Now, you guys wanted to quickly talk about race 5. Unfortunately, I don't have the maps for that.
Yeah, so race 5 is obviously the return of September Run. Hasn't trialled too well in Sydney, but it didn't trial that well before its first up run last prep, which most people remember was a fantastic run against Nature Strip down the straight. Was actually a negative parade that day as well. It ran a huge race against Mars Crusader when the rail was off over the 1,200 meters as well last prep. The speed's on for it. If you can run on it, it should just win if it's anywhere near its best. So again, we'll have a bit more of an idea about the pattern by that stage. So, but yeah, it could be a fantastic bet. Sort of got a bit of a Mars Crusader like feel last week to me.
Yep. Shane, any thoughts from you?
I was actually in the Portland Sky Camp in that race. I thought its trial was excellent. September Run, I thought it was a bit inconclusive, and I'm just wondering if it's whether it's a mare in form or out of form. Obviously, it's the class horse, but all its best runs to me have been down the straight. So I'm happy to take it on. But if it comes out and wins, it's one of the most exciting horses going around. So it'll be a good race to watch. The only other ones of interest I thought were 5 Wisdom of Water and potentially 9 Esther La Rocca. But should be a good race.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm in the Portland Sky Camp. I thought that trial was excellent. I think it's trial even better than it probably has before. And it's going to be up there. Like, they are going to go score the Cats. And when you're looking at, well, we haven't got the map, but when we looked at the map, when I've looked at the map here, it probably could just sit in behind that and it'll just have the drop on them. Like, you can't knock September Run because it is a class animal and it's going to get the speed on for it. Its figures probably do suggest that it could be better than these. But yeah, look, I think there's still a couple of question marks about it. The word is it could be just a freshie, and it just could be. But yeah, look, it looks like an interesting race. All right, let's quickly finish up here, guys. What are our best for the day?
Oh, it's sort of hard to commit to a tip right now because we haven't had one scratching or anything like that. But I thought I'd talk about race 1. I think there's a good bracket, which is Sandy Prince and Sea Lion. I think one of those two will win. Big opportunity for Sea Lion to turn the tables on Sandy Prince. It was 1,000 up to 1,400 last start, sat outside lead. Sandy got the rail and had obviously more race fitness on its side. So bit of extra distance, Gayward House up in distance. I thought it could lead, control the race, and it could maybe beat Sandy Prince. But the way I'm imagining it, I might back both.
Okay. El Shano, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'll probably be betting more in the early races than the later races, I'd say. Race 1, I'm keen to take on Sandy Prince. I'm not sure with what yet. I was looking at venting, but I may just lay Sandy Prince. I'm against it. Race 2,
$1 billion there, eh?
Yeah. Race 2, Mr. Brightside. It's bomb proof. I'm happy to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Race 3, I like Tawning over from South Australia. I think you're keen on something in that race as well, Mosley. So that might have to be $1 billion there.
Yeah, I'll definitely
And,
take you on there, mate.
Yeah.
I'm with Generation is my best of the day. So yeah, definitely $1 billion there, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had more to go.
And race 4, I'll be buttering up again on De Graves, and Courts is also in that race. So I'm happy to have something on them.
The Graves again, eh? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it could be a moral De Graves.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty flat for
Yeah,
mine.
back on the
Had
back
its
on the
mate.
wet.
It was perfect PR. Got the chance. I just don't like that. But anyway. Yeah. So look, as I said, my best is Generation. I think it's it's coming back in grade. It's a leader back in grade. I have no doubts about the conditions. It goes forward. It ticks a lot of boxes for mine. It's no loss with John McNeil on board instead of Jay Carr. And look, as a value, as I've mentioned, that Port Gourmet, it's definitely a 1x3. I think looks an exciting horse and could be the best horse in that race. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks again for your time. And good luck on the weekend. And I'm sure I'll see you guys in the good old chat room.
No worries. Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
Mozzie.
All right, guys. Good punting. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.